In this video, we're going to learn how to subtract integers. Let's start by looking at what it means to subtract integers by looking at a number line. If I take the number 5 and I subtract 4, it's like moving 4 spaces down the number line, which gives me the answer 1. This is the same as taking the number 5 and adding -4, or moving 4 spaces to the left. So, here's the rule. To subtract an integer, add its opposite. So I have the number 3 minus 7. That's the same as taking 3 and adding -7, which gives me -4. Algebraically, that's saying x minus y equals x plus the opposite of y. We call this the definition principle of subtraction, or for short, DPS. So when you're asked to DPS, you're asked to turn a subtraction problem into division. We call this refuse to subtract. So when subtracting integers, turn it into an addition problem. Let's do a couple of examples. The first problem, we have 7 minus 11. I'm going to rewrite this as 7 plus the opposite of 11, or -11. So I added, and then the opposite of the number behind it. Alright, we have 2 different signs. We're going to take the absolute value of the 2 signs, because 11 is larger and it's negative. My answer is going to be negative. I'm going to subtract them because they're 2 different signs. 11 minus 7 is 4, and so my answer is -4. So I added the opposite. Here's another example. I have 4 minus -20. If I add the opposite of -20, it becomes +20. 4 plus 20 gives me 24. They're the same sign and they're both positive, so my answer is 24. Here's another example. I have -18 minus -5. I need to add the opposite, so I'm going to add the opposite of -5, which makes it positive. Now I have 2 different signs, -18 and +5. Because the absolute value of -18 is larger, my answer is going to be negative. I have 2 different signs, so I'm going to subtract. 18 minus 5 is 3, or 13. So my answer is -13. Right? What happens when you need to substitute for a variable expression? In this situation, x equals -14 and y equals -3. So if I have x minus y, I have -14, so I'm substituting minus -3. I want to start by adding the opposite. That gives me -14 plus 3. Well, one's negative and one's positive. The absolute value of 14 is bigger than the absolute value of 3, so my answer is going to be negative. 14 minus 3 is 11, so my answer is -11. Here's the last example. 29 minus x. Well, remember x is negative 14. So 29 minus negative 14. I'm going to refuse to subtract or add the opposite, which is the same as DPSing it. I'm going to add the opposite of negative 14, which is positive 14. 29 plus 14 is 43. And so my answer is positive because they were both positive. And that's how to subtract integers.